All right. Hey YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Cryptic Quail, and in today's video, I'm gonna show off a book haul. I have some like super cool stuff, and I'm really excited about this. But before I get into my book haul, I actually have a message for Shady Side Library. Hey man, so I went thrifting today, and I bought some books and I'm going to show them off right here. But I found some stuff that I already have. And I was like, oh, that's a shame that I already have it because I totally get it. And then I thought about you. And then I remembered your video where you showcased your horror anthology books. And turns out you already had some of the ones that I sent you. But you also didn't showcase stuff that I have because you probably don't have it, because you're not cool like me like that. Nevertheless, I picked some stuff up for you, and I'd like to send it to you. I have your address and everything. I don't know when I'm going to send it to you, but I won't wait too long. And then I'm not going to show you in this video what I'm sending you, but I will show you one thing. This. I picked this up like a week or two back, and I already have the original. So I learned from Cameron Chaney's channel that these are like British reprints, and I've found two of them. I sent Oh no, I bought one off eBay and sent it to you. Then I don't have any evidence that this is a British reprint. I don't know, but it is a reprint, and it's Spooksville #4, Aliens in the Sky. I read this one when I was a kid. I loved it. I'm sending you some other stuff too, and then from what I remember, in your young adult kid horror anthology series, you had some of the Alvin Schwartz scary stories to tell in the dark, but if I remember correctly, you didn't have all of them. And so look at these. So I have duplicates. I mean, I have multiples. Okay, so I have this. This was a library copy of. This was a library copy hardback of Scary Stories 3. I don't know if you need that or want it. And then I have, I think these are all original printings, except for this one. This one is more Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's a reprint. It's got a cool holographic color. Then I have, how many copies of Scary Stories 3 do I have? Okay, yeah, so I mean, I have a tall one and a short one. Then I have another more Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm probably going to hang on to this one because this is the one that I grew up with, but I did have that holographic one that I'd be totally happy to send you. Then I have the original Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This is the one that I grew up with. And then I have this hardback treasury, and if you want this, you can go ahead and claim it. I'd be happy to send it to you. So just let me know if you need anything in this series. All right, now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my book haul. The first thing I want to show you guys, and I'm sorry, I just quit smoking, and like my voice is like, my lungs are like cleaning themselves out. So, Beavis and Butthead, the Encyclopedia. I dig it. And so I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where Mike Judd is from. Mike Judd is the creator of Beavis and Butthead. Mike Judd went to a high school here in town called Highland High School. And so I went ahead and I picked this book up from a thrift store. And that's why Beavis and Butthead live in the fictional town of Highland, Texas. He named it after the high school he went to. And so it's ironic that I found that because I found a vintage copy of Blind Dates. Okay, now I had a reprint that also said Scholastic. I still have it, but I didn't have the vintage copy. And what do you know? This copy used to belong to Highland High School. I just thought it was ironic being a local, you know? Now, I've shown this book off before, and this is called The Band by Carmen Adams. And I love the cover. I mean, that is a very enticing cover. And I learned about this book from Cameron Chaney's channel, and when he showed it off, I was like, whoa, I've never seen that one, never heard of it before. And I got on eBay to look for it about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, something like that. And there was only one copy on eBay, and it was going for $300. And I was like, whoa, okay, I am not pulling the trigger on that. So then, what happened? Anyway, I would periodically look for another copy, and I finally found one, and there was only one, and it was going for $25. And I was like, okay, so I don't think I'm ever going to find a deal that good again. So I just decided to pull the trigger. But it's in mint condition. And so then, like, that's why I haven't read it yet. I don't want to mess it up. And then I found one that was going for like $12 recently, and they were straight up. They were like, "Yeah, it's not in good condition." And so I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll buy a beat up copy that I can read." And I'm not sure what I did with it. I like had it. I'm No offense. I'm actually wondering if I sent it to Shadyside Library, and if I did, dude, keep it, keep it. Don't you dare send it back. Keep it if I gave it to you. It's not a big deal. But anyway, let's see, what else did I get? Okay, so I got some. Found it. Found it. I didn't send it to Shadyside Library. Okay, here it is. Here's my beat up copy. It's kind of falling apart, but I have two. I have two. Okay, so I picked up some point horror books. So that was The Band by Carmen Adams. This is The Claw by Carmen Adams. And on Instagram, I follow some other people who collect stuff like this as well. My faithful viewer, Kits Poralat. Sorry, don't hate me. I think she has this one too. They didn't have a photo of it when I bought it on eBay. And I'm actually a little upset that it's not in better condition. The cover, I open it, like the cover is like totally in danger of being torn off. Like it's falling apart. Whoa, look inside at the cover. So some of these I have, some of them I don't. No. Okay, so there's only 3 that I don't have. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So I'm a little upset. This just came in the mail today, and I don't appreciate the fact that it's not in better condition. But I guess it's cool. Maybe I can just hang on to this, use it as a reading copy, and then maybe I can like pull the trigger on like a mint copy, and that'll be my collector's edition. Other stuff in that vein that you guys are gonna care about. So I've been trying to recollect the Spooksville books, and so I'm actually happy to say that I have the first 11 in the series minus book number 2. I don't remember what book number 2 even was. It was The Howling Ghost. So all I need is The Howling Ghost, book number 2, and then I have the first 11. And then I have the last one that I have is book number 19, which was Night of the Vampire. So my Spooksville collection is coming along, but Unfortunately, the ones that I don't have are selling for outrageously high prices online, like the later ones. And there was only like 24 books in the series, and I know I read book number 24 when I was a kid. I remember how the series ended. But those ones are going for like $100 or more. Like I've seen some go for like 78 to like $125, and I really don't want to spend that much. I don't, so I may, unless I get super lucky over the next coming decades and find them at thrift stores or yard sales, I may never complete this collection. And that's sad. I wish I would have thought to do that when I was younger before all the hype. Like, maybe in my late teens, early 20s or something. Mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s. Okay. Uh, so yeah, I have the Cold People. I got that online. I got the Howl or the Haunted Cave. I got the Witch's Revenge. This was a good one. I remember it. I got the Wishing Stone. I remember this one. They even had a Spooksville TV show like around 10 years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, and they even had like these episodes. I remember yeah, it was cool. So then I got some more point horror books. I got The Dead Game by A. Bates. I now have a few of A. Bates's books. Let me go ahead and read the tagline and the summary on back on these ones. I'm not going to do that for the rest of these books, but just the stuff that like my core viewers would care about, because I don't know if you have this or not. So first of all, look at this cover. I mean, that is a great cover. I mean, I love the use of greens to make this look like eerie and dreadful. And it's called The Dead Game. There's a full moon. There's a tombstone with a high school letterman's jacket. And the tagline reads, "Someone is playing for keeps." Now let's read the summary on back. And I guess this is a UK edition because the price shows that it originally costed $2.99 in euros. All right. The game got out of control. No one was really supposed to get hurt. The Dead Game was something that Lenny, Ming, and Jackson made up in their senior year to get back at all those people who really deserved it. The liars, the cheats, and the bullies. To play the game, all they have to do is embarrass their chosen enemy in public. But things start to go horribly wrong. Their first hit ends up in the hospital. Their first hit ends up in hospital. And then someone dies. But when the three friends decide to stop playing, the dead game just won't stop. Suddenly, the rules have changed. How can they end the deadly game they have started? Okay, that actually does sound pretty cool. I got me another Carol Ellis book, and it's called The Body. And I mean, I absolutely love that. It's a staff, and I don't know what it's made out of, like metal or something, but the top of the staff is the head of a cobra. I mean, that's a pretty cool cover. And the tagline, and it's in decent condition. I mean, there's a few like creases on the front cover. Let's see how the spine's doing. The spine's pretty good. Okay, and then there's an advertisement for some more books. So there's Night School by Caroline B. Cooney. Okay, I don't have that one. The Boy Next Door by Sinclair Smith. I do have that one. The Mummy by Barbara Steiner. I'm not really into mummies. I don't hate them, but I'm not like wild about them, so I don't know if I'm gonna pursue that one. The Surfer by Linda Cargill. So let's see about in the back. Okay, in the back there's Mother's Helper, The Babysitter by R.L. Stine, The Lifeguard. I have that one. April Fools. I don't think I have that one. The Babysitter, Teacher's Pet. Don't have that one. The Girlfriend, Beach Party. Trick or Treat. Don't have that one. My Secret Admirer. I do have that one. Funhouse. I don't have that one. The Snowman. I do have that one. So yeah, this one, the spine is in decent condition, but I think that it's kind of gearing towards like not so strong and sturdy. The tagline on the front reads, "Will the truth ever be uncovered?" And the summary on back reads, "No one knows what really happened the night Lisa Randolph fell off the cliff, and it seems no one ever will, for the accident has left her paralyzed and mute." Then Melanie is hired to read to Lisa, and soon she realizes Lisa is desperately trying to tell her something, something too deadly for words. If Melanie doesn't piece the clues together before it's too late, Lisa's gruesome secret could stay buried forever. All right. So there's that. I found another copy of Beach House. I'm not sure why I picked it up. I already have it, but it's in like perfect condition, and it was donated to that thrift store by the same chick, and she used to write her name in Sharpies on all the covers. Yeah, I picked up a few books that she donated. So then I found this. So I have a reprint, but it's My Teacher is an Alien by Bruce Coville. Some people pronounce his last name Coville. I grew up calling him Bruce Coville. I picked up another Buffy book. I picked up this unauthorized biography of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I guess they issued this book prior to the third season. And so, I mean, I, Buffy is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And I think that it was made like, at the right time before Hollywood went the direction that they're going now. I like the fact that they made a really likable, really relatable, strong female character, and at the time they didn't do what they would do today with her, and so I think that was really cool. And then I found some Goosebumps reprints, and I mean, I have all of these, but maybe I'd be able to trade them someday, so I went ahead and picked them up, and I got a discount with my purchase, so it was money well spent. So I got The Beast from the East, which I still haven't read, but it sounds really good. A Night in Terror Tower, which I already have, and I already have it in this reprint edition. Monster Blood. I mean, that is an iconic cover. I mean, that is a great cover. And Legend of the Lost Legend. And again, I already have it in. No, I think I have a vintage. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have a vintage. And it was the funniest thing because I used to have a teammate at work. I picked this book up from the thrift store one day, my vintage copy, I believe. And I worked with, kind of a tall blonde woman. And, she had a few extra pounds on her. And then and she had long blonde hair. And I'm not shaming. I'm just, describing. And she, comes in one day with her hair just like that when I had bought this book from the thrift store the day prior, and I just started laughing, and she asked me, "What are you laughing about?" And I said, "I'll show you tomorrow." And she said, "Okay." And then I brought the book to work and I showed her, and she even laughed. It was funny. And I miss her. She doesn't work there anymore. I have something in my lap that I'm going to mail to Shadyside Library. And I don't think you already have it, because if you did have it, I think you would have displayed it or showcased it in your thing, or in your video. And then I have It Came From Ohio, My Life as a Writer by R.L. Stine. So this is his on writing, So I love the fact that I found that today. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay, so I found another Point book, but it's not Point horror. It was just published by Point. And that same chick donated it. And it's called Changing Places. It's basically Freaky Friday about a brother and a sister. And I kind of like that Freaky Friday theme, like whether it be Switched by R.L. Stine or Freaky Friday itself, or there was this made for the Disney Channel movie in the 90s called Wish Upon a Star. I mean, that was a great movie. And so I picked it up just to add to my point collection. And I'll probably never read it because I like to either prioritize reading like biographies of people whose lives I'm interested in, horror, psychological thriller, and like intellectual stuff. Like I have a book called Our Mathematical Universe by Max Tegman or something like that, and like I want to read that. And then I found this one. It's an Apple paperback, and it's called Midnight is a Place. And I think that my viewers would like me to read the tagline, and my core viewers would be interested in this if they don't already have it. So it's called Midnight is a Place by Joan Aiken. And the tagline reads, Where Darkness Lives. Now look at that cover. I mean, that is a great looking cover. I mean, a big old mansion that almost looks like a castle. Maybe it is a castle. Full moon. We have a view of this castle mansion, like through the, dead trees, the dead winter trees. Like, great looking cover. The summary on the back reads, the hour is darkest just before daybreak. Okay, never heard it put that way before, but whatever. 14-year-old Lucas Bell thought life was miserable when he lived under the stern eye of his intolerable guardian at midnight court. But nothing prepared him for the miseries awaiting him outside the lonely mansion. Together with 8-year-old Anna Marie, the two orphans managed to rake out a life together. Determined to survive, they'll do almost anything, even work at Midnight Mill, waiting and hoping and wondering, will daylight ever come? Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be a horror book or not, but because I remember it did feel like when I was a kid and these books were sold at the Scholastic book fairs, sometimes you'd look at the cover, you'd think you were getting a horror book, and then because of the cover, because Goosebumps was popping at the time, and I think that a lot of people were trying to kind of cash in on the hype. So this might be one of those types of books, but it had a cool looking cover. Now I want to show you something. This was an instance where I bought this book from the Scholastic Book Fair in 2nd grade, and you have this kind of like scary looking old man in a dimly lit room, and I thought it was going to be a horror book. I didn't read it till 3rd grade, and imagine my surprise when it wasn't a horror book. It was a very interesting biography, and I read it, and even though I was disappointed it wasn't horror, I was just over the moon about it, and I loved Thomas Edison, and like he was one of my childhood heroes because I read this book in 3rd grade. Then I grew up and the internet became a thing, and it turns out that like the internet hates Thomas Edison because there was some beef between him and Nikola Tesla, and so everyone loves Tesla and everyone hates Edison now, and it just breaks my heart. Because I read this in 3rd grade, and Thomas Edison had a really interesting life. Then I picked up this copy of Gary Paulson's Nightjawn. Now, some videos back, I had already found a copy of this, and this was something that I was wanting to find. This is a really good book. I read it in 4th grade. My teacher had like 5 or 6 of these in her classroom, and she used to put us in groups to read books. We had to read one book every week, and we used to have to discuss it in group, and we got punished if we didn't read the book that week. And we used to have to sit around a table, and we used to have to discuss the book. And this was one that we had read, and it was about a 12-year-old girl. She's a slave. She lives on a slave plantation. The slave owner was absolutely horrible, just cruel. Oh my gosh. And I mean, I knew that slavery had existed and that it was a thing, but this was the first time I actually saw a picture of what slavery looked like. And there was this man who had escaped from slavery, gone to a free state, learned how to read, and he decided that he needed to go back and teach his people how to read. And he taught this 12-year-old girl, who's the main character, how to read. And one day she scribbled something in the dirt because she was learning how to read and write. And you know how it is, you learn something new and you want to use it. And the slave owner caught her doing it, and he started screaming at her like, "What are you scribbling in the dirt?" And she's trying to play it off. She's like, I'm just bored, I'm just playing around, I'm just scribbling. And then he the slave owner doesn't buy it, and he's like, "No, who taught you how to read?" And who taught you how to read and write? And she's like, "No one." And so he threatens to whip her. And then Nightjohn, the guy that had taught her, that he had come back, and he said, "It was me." And so the slave owner was like, "Okay, it was you." So he sent Nightjohn to go get whipped. And then she had to like nurse him afterwards and like rub salt in the wound, and stuff like that. And I mean, it was like heartbreaking. I read this in one night in fourth grade, and it was just like so. It was like watching a train wreck. Like I didn't want to watch, but I couldn't look away, and so I killed it in one night. Stayed up late reading it. Went to school kind of sleep deprived a little bit, but we discussed it in book group. And yeah. So I had found this copy, and it's autographed by Gary Paulson, and he writes a note about Nightjohn. The research for this short book took over 5 years, and it was heartbreaking. At many times, reading through the slave narratives, I would find myself crying quietly, weeping for them, for for they were very real people, and I have tried to portray in this story. They wanted only one thing: to be free, and they knew learning to read, was the best way to freedom. It still is. Signed, Gary Paulson. So that's why I picked it up. That's really cool. All right. Let's see. What else? So I heard about this book. It's called Anno Dracula by Kim Newman. Oh, and I heard about this book by a YouTuber named Maven of the Eventide. Her channel is primarily about vampires, and I've heard her talk about this book a number of times, and so that's why I picked it up. I guess it's what this book is about is, what if they failed when they killed Dracula? What if Dracula overcame like Van Helsing and all them, and what if he Jonathan Harker, what if he succeeded and took over London? And so that's what this book is about. And so I'd like to read it, but I don't think I'm going to get to it anytime soon. Okay, please don't talk about politics in my channel or in my comment section. Please don't do that. This isn't the place for that. But this is a book written by Andrew Klavan. Andrew Klavan is a writer for the Daily Wire. He works with Ben Shapiro and all them. I don't care whether he works for the Daily Wire. He could work for the Young Turks. I don't care. I still would have picked this book up. And it's called The Uncanny, and it's a hardback. And I have another one of his books called The Animal Hour, and I haven't read it, but I'm glad I own it because it sounds really good. I'd like to get around to reading it. Oh, here's another one that chick donated, and it's called The Witch Lady Mystery. And the cover looks pretty cool. And this is written by Carol Beach York. I actually have a number of her books. Some of them are also some of her books I have are also vintage Apple paperbacks, and I think I have one or two or maybe even three in the Point Horror series. This one is called, or it's called The Witch Lady Mystery, and the tagline on the front reads, "Is old Mrs. Pritchard really a witch? Oliver is about to find out." So I'll read the summary on back. "I won't let her put any spells on me. When Oliver volunteered to rake leaves to earn money for the school library, he never guessed he'd have to work for the witch lady. Mrs. Pritchard lives in an old spooky house with a black cat for a pet. She never goes outside. Hardly anyone's ever seen her, and now Oliver has to face her all alone. Does she really have pots of money? Are there rooms full of potions for magic spells? Can Mrs. Pritchard actually disappear? Oliver finds lots of unexpected answers to his questions before the witch lady mystery is solved." And that sounds pretty good. I bet you she's not really a witch. I bet you it's kind of going to be similar to the Bailey School Kids, because most of the time in the Bailey School Kids, they leave it kind of open-ended for the reader to decide whether or not the gym teacher is really a werewolf, or the gymnastics teacher is really a witch, or whether or not Mrs. Jeepers and her brother Mr. Drake are really vampires and a witch. Like, they leave it kind of open. Then I found this book. This is a Tor horror book, and I really enjoy finding these. And I mean, this one is called New Moon by William Relling Jr. And look at that cover, the embossed title. There's kind of a pentagram with like candles on each point of the star. The the view of the city at the bottom. I mean, great looking cover. And the tagline reads, "The greatest evil is not, or the greatest evil is done not in daylight nor in moonlight, but in the dark of the moon." Interesting. Let's read the summary on back. "The West Side Butcher case is driving Detective Sergeant Len Malik crazy. He can't figure out what ties the victims together, other than the fact that they are all young, all female, and all brutally murdered, partially dismembered, organs missing. The killer must be a madman, and Len Malik's very good at catching madmen. The West Side Butcher is not mad, an immortal, evil magician. He has been accidentally freed from his 100-year entombment. The murders are sacrifices to his dark gods, who in return give him wealth, power, and eternal life. The West Side Butcher is in love with Len Malik's ex-wife. Will she be his next sacrifice, or his chosen companion through eternity?" Yeah, so that sounds fantastic. That sounds like a fantastic read to me. And then I have two more. I picked up Reba McEntire's autobiography. Now, I had this as a child. My grandmother gave it to me. I read it like in fourth grade. So I've always had a crush on Reba McEntire. Well, I mean, maybe not now, but I mean, I did when I was a child. I absolutely love her music. I love her voice. Big Reba fan. A lot of people are kind of surprised at how diverse my musical taste is. Yeah, I'm primarily a heavy metal guy. Love me my metal, but I like other stuff too. Sometimes I pick up Reba McEntire's CDs from thrift stores when I find them. On her first album, she has a song called "One Promise Too Late," and I just absolutely love that song. She's singing from the perspective of a married woman, and she's telling this other guy that, hey, I find you attractive and you drive me crazy and you occupy, space in my mind. And in another life, I would have totally been yours. But unfortunately, I met you one promise too late, and I will stay loyal to my man. And it's like, we don't have songs on the radio with messages like that anymore. So, I mean, I just love Reba. I love her to death. And then I found this guy, Mankind, Have a Nice Day by Mick Foley, the autobiography. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I started watching the WWE and became like a hardcore WWE fan right around the time Mick Foley had, it was just a little bit before he had that match with The Undertaker where he got thrown off the cage and into the announcer's table. And he was my favorite wrestler growing up. And to this day, I would still say that my favorite wrestler of all time is a tie between him and Jeff Hardy. But I just absolutely love Mick Foley. And I'm really glad to have that. I've read a few autobiographies from the wrestlers. I've read Chyna's, Stone Cold's, and who else? Chris Jericho's first two. I never got to read this one, but now I have it. And I'm super stoked. All right, well, that was a fun book haul for me. I hope you guys had fun as well. Thank you guys for watching. Shady Side, please get back to me and let me know if you want any of those scary stories books. Just thanks for watching. Horns up. Peace out.